You have probably met someone who, by conventional standards, was not extraordinarily beautiful. Their features were ordinary. Their clothes were simple. They did not dominate the room with volume or dramatic gestures. And yet, when they spoke, people leaned in. When they walked in, the atmosphere shifted slightly. There was a calm around them that felt steady. You could not immediately explain why they were attractive, but you felt it. It was not about symmetry or fashion. It was about presence. Attraction is often misunderstood as something visual: bone structure, body type, hairstyle, clothing. And while appearance plays a role, it is not the foundation of magnetism. If you have ever felt average in terms of looks and concluded that you simply do not have that it factor, you may have internalized a false equation. You may have believed that without physical changes, your attractiveness has a ceiling. But human attraction operates far deeper than visual preference. It is largely nervous system perception. People are drawn to signals that communicate safety, stability, depth, and emotional regulation. When someone's internal state feels grounded, others sense it instantly. When someone's energy is scattered, tense, or approval-seeking, that too is felt, even if their appearance is striking. Psychologically, attraction is signal-based. The brain reads micro-cues before it evaluates beauty. It notices pacing. It notices breathing. It notices whether a person seems centered or searching. Stability feels strong. Emotional regulation feels mature. A touch of mystery feels intriguing. A grounded presence feels rare. These qualities create magnetism independent of appearance. In Japanese culture, subtlety and composure are often valued more than flamboyance. A person who is self-contained, who does not overshare, who moves with deliberation, can be perceived as deeply attractive. Loudness is not required. Dramatic self-promotion is not necessary. What draws people in is coherence, a sense that this person is internally organized and not leaking energy outward. You do not need to change your face, your wardrobe, or your body to increase your attractiveness. You need to change the signals your nervous system is broadcasting. The shift is subtle. It is not about acting aloof or distant. It is about becoming regulated. When your inner state becomes calmer, your outer presence becomes more magnetic. Attractiveness does not begin in the mirror. It begins in your nervous system. If you observe the people who naturally draw others in, you will notice something consistent. They are not trying to pull attention toward themselves. They are not constantly performing. They do not rush to fill every silence. They do not over-explain their opinions. They are simply there, steady, composed, self-contained. And somehow, that steadiness becomes magnetic. But stimulation is not the same as attraction. Stimulation excites the nervous system briefly. Attraction settles it. When someone appears calm and grounded, your body relaxes around them. You feel less pressure, less noise. That relaxation is interpreted as safety, and safety is deeply attractive. If you have ever tried hard to impress someone and later felt exhausted, that exhaustion is a clue. Trying too hard sends tension through your body. Your speech speeds up. Your gestures become sharper. Your laughter becomes slightly forced. The other person may not consciously notice, but their nervous system does. Tension communicates need. Need, even subtle need, reduces magnetism. Human nervous systems synchronize. When you are calm, others unconsciously slow down to match you. When you are anxious, others feel a low-level restlessness around you. Calm regulation has a co-regulating effect. It stabilizes the emotional field between two people. And the person who stabilizes the interaction is often perceived as deeper, stronger, more attractive. In Japanese culture, there are concepts like enryo, restraint, and ma, the appreciation of space and pause. These principles create quiet charisma. Instead of dominating conversation, a person allows space. Instead of reacting instantly, they pause. Instead of expressing every thought, they select carefully. This restraint creates depth. It allows mystery to form. It gives others room to project their curiosity. You can begin experimenting with this immediately. Slow your physical movements slightly. Not dramatically, just enough to remove urgency. Add a brief pause before you respond in conversation. Let your words land fully before adding more. You do not need to say less in content. Simply say it with less rush. Calmness is often perceived as depth. When your energy settles, people lean in to understand you rather than bracing to keep up with you. Attraction grows quietly in that space. There is a subtle difference between moving quickly and moving with purpose. Many of us carry a slightly accelerated tempo in our bodies. We gesture quickly. We sit down abruptly. We stand up without awareness. Our hands move while we speak, sometimes faster than our thoughts. These movements are not wrong. They simply reveal the state of our nervous system. And when movements feel rushed, they communicate internal restlessness. People are highly sensitive to physical tempo. Even if they cannot articulate it, they register whether someone seems grounded or hurried. Rapid gestures often signal nervous energy. Sudden shifts in posture can suggest tension. In contrast, slower, deliberate movement communicates control. It suggests that the person is not chasing approval or reacting impulsively. It implies choice. In traditional Japanese tea ceremonies, every movement is measured. The host does not rush to pour the tea. The cup is lifted with intention. The placement of the bowl is precise and unhurried. The entire ritual radiates calm through tempo alone. That calm is not performative. It is embodied. And when you watch someone move with that level of composure, it becomes compelling. You do not need a ceremonial setting to adopt this principle. Begin with simple adjustments. When you stand up from a chair, rise 1 second slower than usual. When you sit down, do so deliberately instead of collapsing into the seat. When you walk, reduce your pace slightly and let your steps feel even. These micro-changes calm your own nervous system while simultaneously signaling steadiness. Slowness in this context does not mean lethargy. It means control. It means your body is not reacting to every impulse. When your physical tempo slows, your presence feels heavier in a positive way. People sense that you are not easily shaken, and grounded energy is consistently attractive. Another powerful shift involves how much you speak. Many people equate charisma with verbal fluency. They believe that talking more makes them more interesting, but over-talking often reduces intrigue. When you explain every thought in detail, when you fill every gap with words, you leave little room for curiosity. Scarcity increases perceived value. This is true in economics and in human interaction. When someone speaks thoughtfully and briefly, their words carry more weight. Mystery begins to form. Others start leaning forward, asking questions, wanting to know more. Attraction grows in the space between what is said and what is held back. Japanese communication styles often rely on subtlety and implication rather than direct excess. Listening is prioritized. Silence is respected. Instead of dominating a conversation, a person may ask one precise, thoughtful question and then genuinely listen. That kind of presence feels rare, and rarity is magnetic. You can experiment with reducing your sentence length by 20%. Say what you mean, but stop earlier than you normally would. After making a point, pause instead of elaborating immediately. Ask one meaningful question rather than telling a long story. Let the other person speak. When you listen without preparing your next statement, your attention becomes tangible. Silence, when held comfortably, creates a small tension. Not awkward tension, intriguing tension. It invites the other person to step closer emotionally. When you speak less but remain fully present, you become a space others want to enter. And that quiet space is deeply attractive. There is a powerful shift that happens when you learn to contain your emotions instead of displaying them immediately. Many people react the moment they feel something. A joke triggers laughter instantly. A comment triggers visible irritation. A compliment triggers exaggerated excitement. While emotional expression is human, immediate reactivity can signal volatility. And volatility, even in small doses, reduces magnetism. Attraction grows in steadiness. When someone appears emotionally anchored, others feel safe around them. If your mood rises and falls dramatically within minutes, it creates unpredictability. But when your expressions are measured, when you allow emotion to move through you before it appears on your face, you project composure. In Japanese public culture, composure is often prioritized. This does not mean suppressing feelings entirely. It means allowing a moment of regulation before expression. Even in disagreement, tone remains calm. Even in excitement, gestures remain contained. This emotional moderation creates consistency, and consistency builds intrigue. You can practice emotional containment in very small ways. When something surprises you, wait 3 seconds before reacting. When someone says something provocative, hold eye contact gently instead of responding immediately. When you feel the urge to laugh loudly at your own joke, soften it. This pause is not artificial. It is grounding. It gives you a chance to choose your response instead of being carried by it. When you are not easily shaken, your presence feels deeper. Others sense that your internal state is not dependent on them. And independence of emotion is attractive because it suggests strength. Another subtle but powerful habit involves eye contact. Eye contact can either feel invasive or evasive. Looking away constantly signals insecurity. Staring intensely can feel aggressive, but gentle. Steady eye contact creates connection without pressure. In Japan, gaze is often softer and more restrained. Direct eye contact exists, but it is balanced. It does not dominate. It does not challenge. It simply acknowledges. This subtle gaze allows connection without overwhelming the other person's nervous system. You can experiment by holding eye contact 1 second longer than you normally would when someone is speaking. Not in a way that feels forced. Simply remain present. When you finish speaking, allow your eyes to stay steady for a moment before looking away. Avoid scanning the room immediately. That steady gaze communicates confidence without arrogance. Eye contact, when calm, creates a quiet intensity. It makes the other person feel seen. And being seen, without being pressured, is deeply attractive. Magnetism is not created by grand gestures. It is built through micro-signals, emotional steadiness, measured gaze, controlled tempo. Where these qualities accumulate, and when they do, people begin to feel something different around you, something quieter, deeper, and more compelling. There are small behaviors many people do without realizing how much they dilute their presence. Nervous laughter after expressing an opinion. Smiling too quickly to soften every statement. Agreeing automatically to avoid tension. These micro-behaviors are often learned early as strategies to stay liked and accepted. They are understandable. Tone subtly asks, "Is this okay?" Do you tone subtly asks, "Is this okay? Do you still like me?" The other person feels that pull. Even if they cannot name it, they sense that your stability depends on their reaction, and dependence lowers intrigue. Attractive energy feels self-contained. It does not chase reassurance. It does not rush to smooth every disagreement. It allows differences to exist without panic. When you remove small approval-seeking gestures, your presence becomes firmer. You can begin by observing your smile. Notice if it appears automatically at the end of every sentence. Notice if you laugh lightly after making a serious point. Practice holding a neutral, relaxed expression while listening. When you speak, allow your face to remain calm instead of softening immediately. This does not make you cold. It makes your warmth intentional rather than reflexive. Over-agreeing is another subtle drain. If you constantly align with others' opinions to maintain harmony, you become predictable and less intriguing. Attraction often grows from individuality. You do not need to be confrontational. Simply allow yourself to disagree calmly when you genuinely see things differently. A quiet, "I see it another way," carries more magnetism than automatic compliance. Silence is another powerful tool. Most people are uncomfortable with it. They rush to fill empty space with words, jokes, or explanations. But silence creates tension, and tension, when balanced, is attractive. It invites curiosity. It allows the other person to lean forward emotionally. In Japanese communication, pauses are not failures. They are part of the rhythm. Space is respected. Words are not used to eliminate every moment of quiet. That comfort with silence creates a subtle gravity. You can practice by resisting the urge to fill gaps in conversation. If there is a pause after you speak, let it remain for a moment. Maintain gentle eye contact. Breathe. Allow the other person to step in. When you are not afraid of silence, you appear unpressured, and unpressured energy feels confident. Finally, cultivate internal focus. Many people constantly scan others' faces for feedback. They adjust mid-sentence if they sense boredom. They change tone if they sense disagreement. This hyper-awareness fragments presence. When your attention is scattered outward, your center weakens. Attractive people often have an internal anchor. They are present with others, but they are not searching for validation. They speak and let their words stand. They move without checking whether they are being observed. In Japanese craftsmanship culture, the shokunin mindset emphasizes dedication to the task itself rather than the audience. When someone is deeply engaged in what they are doing, that self-contained focus becomes compelling. You can cultivate this by keeping your gaze steady after you speak instead of scanning for approval. By listening fully instead of planning how to impress. By holding your own perspective without rushing to modify it. Attraction is not a performance. It is coherence. When your nervous system is calm, your movements measured, your reactions contained, your silence comfortable, and your focus internal, you become quietly magnetic. You do not need a sharper jawline. You need a softer, steadier nervous system. You become magnetic when you stop trying to pull.